day to everyone. Today we are going to talk about food insecurity. Food is the basic need of our human. Without food, we will be unable to perform our daily activities, chase our dream, or even to be able to survive in this vast world. Throughout the year, we might be hearing other people saying, "Let's fight hunger, no more hunger." But at the same time, do we really hear people mention about food insecurity? Yes, that's the case. A lot of us might not even know the definition of food insecurity, but it does exist, and it is closely related to hunger. So, what is food insecurity? Food insecurity can be defined as a lack of consistent access to enough food for an individual in a household to have an active and healthy life. Although hunger and food insecurity sounds the same, but they are not. The main difference between them is when hunger is the feeling when someone has when they do not have food. Food insecurity is when someone faces the inconsistency of having food due to the economic situation. This can be a temporary situation for a family, or it can last a long time. Food insecurity is one way we can measure how many people can't afford food. So, what are the causes behind food insecurity? The reason behind it might be a bit complex, but most of the causes of the issue are because of poverty, unemployment, low income, racism, lack of affordable housing, lack of access to healthcare, and many more. It is not hard to imagine that if we put ourselves in others' shoes, food insecurity occurs when people have to choose to tighten up their stomach knot to avoid spending money on food just to afford their medicine or healthcare expenses. Therefore, in this video, we are going to present this rising issue, food insecurity, to provide the necessary insight and information to spread awareness to the public.
So, for the mythology part, the mythology is usually the part where we describe how exactly our research was conducted and if the information and findings given are trusted or not. In our group, we decided to pursue a quantitative method with close-ended question survey. This way, we can collect enough data about people without really getting personal with them or asking questions that they don't feel comfortable with. This way, they're going to be less nervous and they're going to engage more with the survey. The research can also notice a few perks about their lifestyle in order for the researcher to apply it to his research. So with our data collection, we went with the Google form and created a survey in order to gather as much possible responses as we can. With food insecurity, we needed as much as we could because it is a problem in our society these days. The questions we added were written and gathered from existing data in order to not ask anything that has no meaning to the study. In order to receive even wider participants, we offered articles and videos so everyone could understand and see what people with food insecurity actually go through. Our research was gathered and given to 60 people aged between 15 to 50 and above, and it's for both Malaysians and non-Malaysians in order for us to get different perspectives and different views.
Food insecurity is a significant problem as demonstrated by the survey result that we have done. It is important to distinguish between good and bad reasoning. Good reasoning means that a sizable proportion of respondents had mentioned having experienced food insecurity, indicating that this was a common issue. In contrast, bad reasoning would include drawing conclusions about Malaysian food insecurity without any supporting data. People may argue that food insecurity is unimportant because they have never personally experienced it, or because they think everyone has the access to sufficient food. Without further ado, let's talk about the data of the survey which we have carried out. The majority of the respondents agree that they were concerned and worried regarding the ability to obtain sufficient food and feed their family. Among the 56 respondents, 32 people would be worried about security, food, and for their family, while 24 people have not concerned or worried about security, food. In this scenario, people are self-aware regarding their feelings and emotions towards maintaining food insecurity. Everybody feels a range of emotion in response to the stress providing enough food for family to eat. This indicates that most people are concerned about whether they can get enough food or not. When asked about the main difficulty they have in the past 30 days, most of the respondents expressed about their high food price, while 33.9% find that the high fuel and transport price are their challenge towards obtaining food for themselves. While the other respondents also agree that the low employment and so on. Therefore, it can be said that the means to secure food are obstructed by various challenges and issues, which conclude that food insecurity is an existing issue in Malaysia. Besides the challenge of obtaining food insecurity, the respondents expressed their inconvenience with the safety of food they consume. From the picture here, you can see that the majority of the respondents, which are 57.1, share that they experience physical discomfort after the consumption of their food. Therefore, food insecurity remains the major issue in Malaysia, in which we need to become heavily aware of the many issues it would be caused if no action or caution measures are taken. The Malay word sejahtera, which refers to the philosophy of sejarah, means peace and well-being, but the significance is strongly tied to the prosperity of upholding shared value that improve the standard of living and civilization. The future generation welfare is crucial to Malaysian continued existence, so it must be addressed with appropriate measure to ensure welfare in order to sustain significant advancement in the development of Malaysia's society and also toward mankind.
Based on the survey conducted, it was found that the result was mixed, in the sense that some people were securing food for their family, while others weren't concerned at all in securing food. From the survey, among the 56 people who responded, it was found that 57.1% would be worried in securing food for their family. On the other hand, 42.9% respondents showed no worries or concern in securing food. It shows that people are self-aware about their food security. People have different emotions in securing food for their family and if they have enough food or not. Different factors affect food security, such as high price of food and transportation, or natural disasters. Little did have financial issues though, due to unemployment or debts. Wealth status of people also has an effect on food security. From the 56 respondents to the survey, high prices of foods were the major concern. It was found that 60.7% had this issue, while 33.9% found that transportation and fuel prices were quite high for them to afford for food. 8.9% had financial issues, while 7.1% had debts to pay back. It was also noted that 12.5% faced issues such as natural disasters. However, it was noted that based on the result of the survey, 30.4 did not have any issues in securing foods. In addition, 57.1 of respondents had physical discomfort after having their food, while 33.9% had products that were expired past expiry date. Another 39.3% stated that they had labeling on their food products that was misleading. And lastly, 21.4% of the 56 participants mentioned that counterfeit and inferior products were food safety problems which they have experienced.
In conclusion, food insecurity refers to the problem of people in nations not being able to buy or access nutritious food. 60 people took part in a poll to determine whether the problem is present in Malaysia. Food insecurity had been highlighted by numerous people, showing that it was a widespread problem. It may be claimed that a number of difficulties and problems made it difficult to acquire food, which leads to the conclusion that food insecurity is a problem in Malaysia. According to our findings, a reasonable number of people were concerned about providing food for their families. Additionally, the rising cost of food is the primary cause of this. Some other reasons are also due to poverty, unemployment, low income, racism, lack of affordable housing, and lack of access to healthcare. The survey also revealed a decline in food quality over time. To address this problem, a multi-phased approach is needed, including increasing food production, improving distribution systems, supporting small-scale farmers, reducing food waste, and providing social safety net for those in need. Addressing food insecurity requires a collective effort from government, international organizations, and non-profit communities.